Raheem for Be Real Boxing. I'm here with Adam Smith at the weigh-in for the Resurrection show tomorrow. How you doing, Adam?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Just getting over the jet lag.
The show was originally supposed to have Frankie Gavin on there. Now he's been replaced with Anthony Joshua. Not just only Anthony Joshua, but Luke Campbell. What do you think of the show?
Listen, I've always wanted to come back to Birmingham. I think Birmingham is a sleeping giant of a boxing city. I've said it many times before. I'm really pleased that he's come back. Obviously, it's disappointing not to have Frankie on, but you know he's got a very, very big fight against Kell Brook at the end of the month, so they couldn't risk anything. Obviously, as soon as he signed up for Brook, he was going to be off this. But I think you know you've got Anthony Joshua, you've got Luke Campbell, you've got Callum Smith, you've got the Yafai brothers, Matthew Macklin. You know what's he got left in the tank? Plenty.
He's built into a great card.
You know, plenty on for the Birmingham public. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm commentating tomorrow night because we've got another show in Texas which Nick Halling and Jim Watt are doing, so I'm really looking forward to getting back behind the mic and covering the Birmingham show.
Alright, last week Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, people said it was fight of the century. Do you believe it was fight of the century?
It was certainly, the build-up was fight of the century, wasn't it? It was fantastic to have Mayweather and Pacquiao in the ring after 5-6 years of negotiations. You know, it was made. I think the pomp and circumstance and the great atmosphere that was there all week was unprecedented. I've never seen a rivals like that. They weren't a rivals. They were shows in themselves when Pacquiao came into the Mandalay Bay and Mayweather came into the MGM. The weigh-in was the most incredible weigh-in I've ever seen. You know, 10, 15,000. I don't know how many were in there, but it was all littered with world champions. You look to one side and there was Barrera Morales. You look over there and there's Tommy Hearns and Tyson. It was unbelievable, and fighters were fans. So I think the whole build-up of the event, the occasion itself, is something that we're not going to have for a long, long time. The fight, a typical Mayweather performance. You know, I think that for fight of the century, I think a lot of the casual fans who came in would have been expecting fireworks. It was never going to be a Hagler Hearns or a Corrales Castillo. Mayweather doesn't fight like that. Mayweather was brilliant. He negated Pacquiao's tactics in the first couple of rounds, and Pacquiao had difficulty. He tried to get the combinations off. I didn't think he was good enough in the last 6 rounds of the fight. He didn't find angles, he didn't find movement, but you've got to take your hat off to Mayweather's ring genius and his brilliance. And in my opinion, I've said it time and time again, I think he's the best fighter to lace them up since Sugar Ray Leonard, and I don't think anyone will beat him.
There was talks that Manny Pacquiao never told anyone about his injury before the fight, and then after the fight he told the media that he had an injury. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are, I spoke to Justin Fortune, his conditioner, beforehand. I spoke to his team. They seemed very happy with Manny. I don't know how serious the injury was. You know, I wasn't in his camp. I don't know. Was it an excuse? Was it really a problem? He's had surgery, so obviously there was an issue. Was there an issue beforehand? Did it flare up in the fight more? Who knows? I think what we can say is that Floyd Mayweather won the fight and that Manny Pacquiao wasn't good enough on the night. And whether he was good enough at any point to beat Floyd, in my opinion, as much as I love Manny Pacquiao, I think he's been an incredible fighter to go through the weights like he has. I've always thought Floyd Mayweather would beat him, and Floyd Mayweather beat him. And what was a little bit disappointing for me was that in the interview with Max Kellerman afterwards, Manny didn't put his hands up and say I got beaten by the better man, because that's what happened.
Well, there's a lot of talk about Amir Khan fighting Floyd Mayweather in September. Amir Khan has said he has enough time after Ramadan to train for the fight. Would you like to see that fight personally?
I'd love to see Amir fight Floyd Mayweather. I think of anyone, he could give him a fair amount of problems with his hand speed. Whether he beat him, as I said, I don't think anybody beats Floyd Mayweather, but maybe himself if he goes on too long. I think he'll retire undefeated, but I think Amir deserves this opportunity. I think he's got as good a chance as anyone has against Floyd. I think he'll give it a real go, and I'd like to see that fight happen. Whether it will be in September or whether he'll have to wait again, I don't know. I'd also like to see Kell Brook in the mix, Brook Khan. I'd like to see, there's so many good fights in the welterweight division, Keith Thurman too. My gut feeling is that Mayweather will fight Cotto in a rematch, because I think if Cotto beats Daniel Gill, Mayweather will want the middleweight title, but we'll wait and see. One other thing is I do think he'll go on beyond September, and I think he'll go for 50-0.
Do you reckon Mayweather will relinquish his titles, what he said, after the press?
Maybe he will. I mean, I don't think the belts, he's unified. I mean, what does he have to prove, Floyd Mayweather? He doesn't have to prove anything. But if he does relinquish them, maybe that means that he is going to fight Miguel Cotto in September. I just feel it may be more cruel luck to Khan, although the Khan camp have said that Leonard Ellaby has spoken to them, and that they're hopeful they will get the camp in September. They told me that there is enough time after Ramadan, so I would love to see that happen in September. There'll be no more happier person than me to see Mayweather and Khan, but I don't know. does Mayweather need Khan at this stage? Is Cotto a bigger pay-per-view fight with the Puerto Rican audience? Possibly. Let's wait to see. All I do know is that it will be Mayweather making the decision.
And finally, Mayweather Senior said it would be an easy fight. What do you have to say about that? Do you think Khan is an easy fight for Mayweather?
I don't think it's an easy fight at all. I think his performance against Devon Alexander was one of the best of his career, if not the best. I thought he was tremendous. Devon Alexander, very good fighter, and he couldn't lay a glove on Amir. I thought Amir was brilliant in December. I'm slightly disappointed, to be honest, that he's fighting Chris Algieri next. I think it should be a fairly comfortable fight for Amir. I'd like to have seen him in with a Broner or a Thurman or a Maidana or someone like that. Maidana even again. I think Algieri, will beat fairly comfortably. It's a dangerous fight in that he shouldn't overlook Algieri because he's meant to beat him, isn't he? Let's be honest. But yes, I think Khan has got a chance against Mayweather, maybe as much of a chance as Pacquiao, maybe more. But I have to say, I think Floyd Mayweather, beats everybody. So it's tough for Khan, but he deserves his opportunity. And if anyone out there, he's got the skills to certainly give Floyd plenty to think about.
And just finally, when you're talking about Amir Khan, do you think it was restricted with opponents in the welterweight division for his fight in May the 29th?
Say again?
Do you think Amir Khan was restricted with opponents what he could have fought on May the 29th?
It's very difficult to make matches, isn't it? A lot of opponents are matched up. I've just heard Sean Porter's going to fight Adrian Broner. Yeah. So why didn't one of those fight Amir? Chris Algieri is decent. Let's not get me wrong. He beat Provondnikov. It was a very close fight. I was ringside that night. But he got decked 6 times by Pacquiao, didn't he? He never was in that one, and I think he's one of the better fighters in the world. But I think that Khan, after the Alexander fight, I would like to have seen him fight, a Broner or a Thurman or someone like that. But listen, if this is a warm up for Mayweather, I'll take that.
All right, thanks for giving me your time to do real boxing.